If you care about real history, the kind that actually kept families alive through long winters, make sure you're subscribed to this channel right now. What we're covering today is not trivia, not nostalgia, and not theoretical survival talk. This is practical, proven technology from the 1940s that worked day and night without a single wire. And once you understand it, you'll never look at modern heating the same way. Most people assume that reliable indoor heat has always depended on electricity, pumps, thermostats, and complex controls. That assumption is wrong. Long before grids were stable and long before outages became normal, millions of homes stayed warm through systems designed to function purely on physics, gravity, and combustion. These systems were not crude. They were carefully engineered, durable, and astonishingly effective. Today, we're digging into how they worked, why they disappeared, and what lessons they still offer to serious historians and survivalists. So, the heating problem of the 1940s demanded reliability above all else. You know, the 1940s were definitely not an era of convenience. Fuel shortages, wartime rationing, rural electrification gaps, and, well, those harsh winters forced engineers to prioritize systems that simply could not fail. A home heating system had to work whether the power was on or off, whether parts were available or not. The solution was heating based on natural circulation, commonly known as gravity-fed hot water or steam heating. These systems, they relied on the predictable behavior of heated water and air rather than any mechanical assistance. Coal-fired and wood-fired boilers sat in basements, often massive cast-iron units built to last generations. Once lit, these boilers heated water or produced steam, which naturally rose through large-diameter pipes to radiators placed throughout the home. Gravity circulation was, you know, the silent workhorse behind these systems. The key principle was density. Hot water is lighter than cold water. Steam is lighter than air. Engineers designed entire homes around this fact. Pipes were oversized to reduce resistance. Radiators were positioned with careful attention to elevation. Boilers were placed as low as possible, often below ground level, to maximize circulation. Once the fire was established, the system entered a steady rhythm that could run for days with minimal attention. In practical terms, this meant a family could lose electricity entirely and never notice a change in indoor temperature. During storms, blackouts, or wartime disruptions, these homes remained warm while newer electrified systems failed. You know, this is why many rural homes, well into the 1960s, actually kept their gravity systems, even though electric pumps were already available. Reliability, honestly, mattered more than efficiency for folks back then. Steam heating, well, it offered unmatched durability and simplicity. Steam systems, especially common in urban buildings, really took this concept even further. Water was boiled into steam, which then expanded rapidly and without any mechanical force just pushed itself through the pipes. Radiators would release heat as the steam condensed back into water, which then flowed back to the boiler through return lines. Properly balanced, these systems were nearly indestructible. Maintenance was honestly pretty straightforward. All you had to do was keep the boiler clean, manage the water levels, and, maintain the fire. There were no electronic components to fail. Even today, many pre-war apartment buildings still rely on steam systems that were installed before World War II. Their continued operation is, well, living proof of how well these designs worked. Another overlooked strength was fuel adaptability. These boilers could burn coal, wood, coke, or even agricultural waste in some cases. During fuel shortages, households adjusted rather than froze. A family with access to timber could cut and season wood. Coal could be stored dry for years. There was no dependency on a centralized energy provider. From a modern survival perspective, this matters enormously. A gravity-fed boiler paired with a wood supply is a closed-loop heating solution. No solar panels required, no batteries, no electronics vulnerable to EMP, lightning, or simple wear. The system's intelligence was built into its physical design. The disappearance of these systems had little to do with performance. They were replaced because they were heavy, slow to install, and incompatible with modern construction trends. Smaller homes, faster builds, and the rise of forced air heating favoured compact systems with electric controls. Convenience, replaced resilience. Electric pumps allowed thinner pipes, and thermostats allowed zoning. But every added convenience introduced a failure point. When power goes out today, heat usually follows. Back in the 1940s, that connection simply didn't exist. You don't need to rebuild a 1940s home to apply these lessons. Some off-grid builders are returning to gravity-fed hydronic systems paired with wood boilers. Others install hybrid systems, where a modern pump-assisted setup can revert to gravity circulation during outages. Even understanding radiator placement and thermal mass can dramatically improve heat retention in a modern structure. For those restoring older homes, preserving original radiators and boilers is often smarter than replacing them. Cast iron holds heat longer than modern materials, and large radiators, they provide gentle, even warmth that actually reduces fuel consumption over time. With just a bit of basic maintenance, these systems can outlive their owners, believe it or not. But the true lesson of the 1940 heating system, it's not about nostalgia, it's about design philosophy. Build systems that default to working, not failing. Use physics before electronics every time, and always plan for scarcity, not abundance. These homes, they were warm, because their builders assumed things would go wrong. That mindset, honestly, is worth reviving. If this kind of deep practical history matters to you, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and share this video with someone who still believes progress always means better. There's more forgotten knowledge like this just waiting to be uncovered. And, we're just getting started.